Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I was a star in an episode of The World's Strictest Parents, which aired back in 2009 over in the BBC. In this reaction video, we are going to be looking at Hannah and James accepting a consequence, doing some really hard work, and I'm going to share with you 3 ways to raise hardworking kids. Alright, before we watch this reaction video, I have to give you a little bit of a backstory, especially if you've not seen any of the other reaction videos, which I highly recommend looking at because the story is super fun. So James and Hannah, both age 17, were brought to my home for a filming of the program The World's Strictest Parents, and they immediately went out of control because they did not want to obey some of our house rules. We had to treat them as if they were our children. That's kind of the premise of the show, which meant that we had to correct them for not obeying house rules, and at that point they went out of control completely. In our family, when you go out of control completely, and in their case they even ran away multiple times, so you'll definitely want to go see those colorful videos, then a person is choosing to lose their privileges for 24 hours. When a person chooses to lose their privileges for 24 hours, through this process called the Rule of 3, which we taught them on day 1, and you can see other videos on this channel about the Rule of 3 and about out of control behaviors if you want more information there. Anyway, they lost their privileges for 24 hours, which meant that they needed to do work. So they would get the recommended hours of sleep, 3 meals a day, and the rest of the time they had to follow instructions, accept consequences, and just keep working and checking back. No TV, no phone, no playtime, no snacks, none of those things. They lost their privileges and had to work the whole time. This gave them a lot of practice at following instructions, and you know what? For the whole rest of their time in our home, after this one day of work, they didn't have any other problems following instructions, and they actually really enjoyed their time there. But what we're seeing is us going to the ranch. Now, there is a reason we are going to the ranch. So we had a friend named Carol. She had a ranch. She lived near us. The BBC crew, we would have these little talks at night, you know, like in between each day of filming. And they said to me the night before this day, you know, Nicholeen, we've had a lot at the house, a lot of filming at the house, and we need to not have any more filming at the house for a little bit because it's going to be boring to people who watch it. So I know that they've lost their privileges, and I know that they're supposed to do a lot of extra chores, but is there any other place that they could do extra chores? And so I said, yeah, they could probably go out to the ranch. I'll see if I can arrange for them to head out there and to learn some hard work out at the ranch. So anyway, Carol graciously allowed them to come out to the ranch. There were some other youth, some friends of ours that were working out that day doing service, because they would go out there and they would work for Carol so that they could get free horse riding lessons. I mean, they just put in the time just to get the perk of maybe being able to have some time to ride horses out at the ranch. And we see Hannah and James meet these two. We see the difference in their work ethic and how Hannah and James do at accepting their consequence of working for this full 24 hours when they're not sleeping or eating their 3 meals. So let's go ahead and take a look here.
The Pecks believe passionately that a strong work ethic is central to good character. Dad Spencer wants Hannah and James to discover the satisfaction that working can bring. He's volunteered them for a day of hard graft at a friend's ranch, where they'll have to get their hands dirty alongside owner Carol and local teens Erin and Cash.
Erin, you're going to work with James and help. You guys will help just throw a bale. Hannah, you'll work with me and we'll throw them up. And they need to be loaded on and stack it.
Okay, I just have to tell you about Cash and Erin. What incredible young people. So Cash and Erin were homeschool friends of ours. They were part of our homeschool community and lived in our town with us, and just amazing young people. And you see the leadership skills that Cash has. You'll also see how they understand James and Hannah, but they try to help them reach for a little bit higher principle and help them learn how to work. And we see Cash show up at other places and Erin show up at other places in the full video of The World's Strictest Parents as well. They really did teach Hannah and James a lot of life lessons, and I think it really showed how mature they were. So anyway, let's watch them work here.
Cash works at the ranch in exchange for using their stables. He mows 70 lawns a week to earn spending money.
Good job. Well, I'm 15, and I've been working with my brothers and with my dad since I was 10. Doing this and that, and you know, I'm not saying every kid needs to start when they're really young, but I think every kid needs to learn, every teenager, especially your teenager, needs to learn you have to work to have fun.
Oh my God!
Even before she got pregnant, Hannah was happy to live on state benefits.
Okay, so we see them working, you know, and we see Cash, some great wisdom here. He had a lawn mowing business with his dad and his brothers that they would just do on the side. His parents decided they wanted their boys to learn how to work and to earn some of their own money. So when Cash was 10, he started doing this business. And boy, this boy can work. He was strong. And you see that here. You see him working with Hannah and James. You see Aaron lifting a lot of the bale, you know, with James. You see Hannah really struggling to help at all and probably being more of a hindrance to Cash than a help. But him going, okay, I'm going to help her along. But then these words of wisdom from him where he says, you know, you gotta work to have fun. Like, he understands cause and effect. Listen, if I want to have the good things in life, I gotta be willing to put that work in. So some great wisdom there. And we see actually Hannah and James having fun. Okay, when I first taught them to work, and if you watched one of our other reaction videos about chores with Hannah and James not wanting to do chores, you see that this attitude here is much different. All of a sudden they're embracing the work a little bit more. They did not like doing chores the first time we suggested chores to them, but this is a different kind of work. It's something they've definitely never experienced before, and it's cultural to the West, and they just are liking getting their hands dirty, even though they weren't exactly keen to every aspect of the job. So let's see what else happens.
Oh my God!
Last time I went to work, I was 15, so that was 2.5 years ago nearly. If it gets too much for me, then I'm going to let them know that I'm not prepared to do no more.
So she says, if I'm going to do too many more chores, I don't know if you can fully understand that there, then I'm going to let them know that I'm not going to do any more. Because the last time I did work, I was 15, and she's 17. We also see her going, I've got hay all over my clothes. And so, you know, she doesn't like the dirty aspect of it. So now she's sitting in a lawn chair having a little drink break and thinking, I think I might be done. That might be enough for me. So now they're going to go and feed the horses. So let's see what happens.
With 150 acres and 120 horses to take care of, the ranch doesn't run itself.
Okay, we're seeing Hannah and James sitting in the car going for a ride, but who's throwing the hay to the horses? We're seeing Cash and Aaron throw the hay to the horses. Maybe Carol wanted it done that way anyway. She might have, because she might not have trusted putting Hannah and James on the back of a truck that was an open bed truck while it was driving. That's possible. I wasn't there, so I didn't know. I don't know for sure, but they were not the ones actually doing the main work of it. And there's a point where we see Hannah and James now just kind of walking away, not super interested in the work, while Cash and Aaron are still working. So they definitely didn't have the type of persistence to follow through with a job that they probably should have. All right, let's take another look here at what Cash is thinking about their work ethic.
That was only 10 bales. Normally you get a truckload of 150, 250 bales. You got to put them all on, and you got to take them all off when you get here.
I've got it in the fridge and everything.
It takes a while. So what have you done before?
I've done the experience in a salon, like doing hair and nails and that, but then I ran away.
Well, this is totally different than doing
Very
nails and hair.
I know.
Yeah, it definitely is.
They're like volunteering, helping that woman, and they're not even their kids.
During a rare break, James is keen to show off about his usual recreational activities.
On an average weekend, I'd go out and get drunk and like do drugs and that kind of stuff, and like go to parties or go out in town, just generally have a good time.
Why do that? You can have all the fun you want without getting drunk.
Do you go out or drink or smoke or do drugs or anything?
Never.
So what do you do? Like go parties?
Yeah, some.
Go to parties,
Like
hang out with
it.
friends, watch
We watch
movies.
movies.
So you would never drink? Never?
No.
No.
Oh my god. I think it's good that they can have fun without having to drink or anything. I think because of their religion, I think it's a bit sad because they're still young and they shouldn't have to follow a religion so much and look into it in so much depth at such a young age. They should be going out and having fun and living their life while they're young.
So there we see that James actually recognizes that it's kind of cool that they can have fun without doing drugs and getting drunk and doing those hard party type things. He's kind of amazed by that. He's like, I think that's cool. But then he immediately says, but wait, that might be oppressive because a person should just be able to have fun when they're young and, you know, and do anything they want when they're young. So he doesn't really see being young as learning skills like work, as preparing for adulthood. He sees it as a time to just go ahead and sow all your wild oats, when in reality, it should be a time for children to prepare for adulthood, which is what Cash and Aaron are definitely doing with their working. And they seem to be more mature and have a firmer grip of what, you know, being an adult and working is good for, why you need to have a good work ethic. We see Hannah say that, well, I did work before. I worked at a salon, you know, working with hair and nails, but I ran away. So that means something happened, she didn't want to do it. Maybe she didn't get along with someone there, so she ran away. And if you've seen some of my other reaction videos for this particular program, then there's a whole one on running away, which is kind of interesting to look at. So you can go and find that. Anyway, running away is something that children do when they don't know how to solve their problems. And so she obviously didn't, and didn't have the work ethic to stick through. Anyway, we also see them mucking the stalls. That's got to be one of the worst jobs that you do when it comes to horses, is scooping up all of the manure and getting it to the place where it needs to. And in this particular moment, we see Aaron and Cash just watching them muck the stalls, saying, no, you get the opportunity to muck the stalls. We're not going to do that with you, because probably what would have happened is there would have been complaining and Aaron and Cash would have ended up doing everything again. But really, if we remember, James and Hannah were supposed to be accepting a negative consequence. So they got the opportunity to muck the stalls all by themselves, which was a really great thing. So there are 3 different ways that I would like to talk about today for teaching children a good work ethic. Number 1 is have them regularly work. That is important. Look at Cash. Look at Aaron. See how they are not afraid of work. In fact, they understand the value of work. So that has to be taught to our children, and they need the opportunity to work on a regular basis. Number 2, when they earn negative consequences, give them more opportunities to work. Work is the antidote for a sick character. In our family, when someone earns a negative consequence, it's almost always an extra chore. And when they go completely out of control, they get that whole day to do work. So having an extra opportunity to work in those negative consequences just gives them even more of the feeling like, I can accomplish anything. I can conquer this work, and so I definitely can conquer my bad behavior too. Number 3 is to make sure you have a good attitude about work. Look at Carol's attitude about work and Cash and Aaron's attitude about work. If the people teaching the other person to work think work is good and productive, then the people learning to work will like it too. Your children will only think work is bad if you also think that work is bad. We teach Hannah and James so many other things in these other reaction videos for the World's Strictest Parents, so you'll definitely want to look at those. But I think if you're enjoying this video, you're probably also going to really like the video, How to Teach Your Kids to Respect Their Parents. Click on that link now and learn that lesson that will change your life.